Jonesy and Amanda.
Jam Nation.
Now, forget the challenge of one gorilla versus 100 men. Remember that thing? The last couple of weeks, everyone's going.
And we worked it out. The guys all surround the gorilla. Someone distracts the gorilla. The gorilla, whilst distracted, someone yells out, "Stacks on." Everyone piles on.
That doesn't just. But the gorilla's still alive.
Doesn't matter. Let's move
and
on.
at the end, he comes back to life and kills everybody, I'd imagine. Well, forget that. You know, the arrogance of men.
You're always into the details.
Well, yeah, funny about that. Well, what about this, though? This was a competition to see if one man could take on 100 chickens. He was offered $10,000 a day for each day that he could stay in one room with 100 chickens. I watched this on TikTok.
And how big's the room?
Well, it's the size of a single studio apartment.
Okay.
No, it's one room. There's a bed in there.
Yep.
And I guess a tiny bathroom.
Chair as well.
But there's 100 chickens. And if he could last a day, 24 hours, he'd get $10,000 for every day he could last.
Sounds
easy. I think it sounds irritating, but easy.
You know, I've walked past chicken coops and there's quite the smell.
Well, sure, but for $10,000 a day. Anyway, what happened is, as we know, chickens defecate constantly, and it creates quite a lot of poo. So the production team added more roosters into the room, which increased the odour in the room. So his sole aim, he said, was to keep the chickens from pooing on his bed. And so they're flying all over the place. So that was his main ambition. What he did at one point to keep them off his bed was he scattered food in a corner to lure the chickens away.
Good
and he
idea.
had plenty of human food. He could have stayed there as long as he wanted. He put chicken food in the corner to keep the chickens away from his bed. Great. They ran over there to eat all the food, but it made them poo even more. Then he was told and there were some eggs. Because he started gathering eggs.
Do roosters lay eggs?
Well, there were chickens in there as well.
Okay.
He was rewarded with a game controller, but it was locked in a cage, and the code for the cage was attached to the leg of one chicken. So he had to rummage through all the chickens to find the code, and he did it. He found the code, he unlocked the cage, got the game controller, and at least he could pass some time by playing those games, computer games.
What, do you play Angry Birds?
Well, then while he was doing that, while he was distracted, chickens pooed on his bed, and it was all too much for him. So after 24 hours, he bailed out. He only lasted one day for $10,000. So forget your big 100 men versus one gorilla.
Mm-hmm.
This guy couldn't even take on a room of chickens for $10,000 a day. He lasted one day. What do you think you would have done?
You know, part of me thinks, now that I know this information,
what would you do?
that I could call my agent and say, don't put me on that show. No,
Yeah.
what I would do is I wouldn't feed them so much. I'd distract them somehow.
How do you distract a chicken? Jokes? Jonesy's stand-up yeehaw bar?
Hey, what's with a 3-piece feed?